When we want to delete an element out of a big array, what we will do is just shift all of the elements over to the left. So let's look at this function that I've written called delete index. And when you call delete index, you'll pass it the array, the number of elements in the array, and then the index that you want to delete. And so remember, this array is actually 10 elements big, but we are only going to be using the first 4 elements that I've noted here. So let's go ahead and start running this. So you can see our array has been created and count is 4, meaning we're only using these first 4 elements in the array. And we do this, remember, because arrays cannot grow or shrink. So we're going to make a big array and then just use the cells that we need and keep track of how many we're using. So I'll go ahead and we will hop into the delete index function. And if you notice, and we've talked about this, arrays are passed by reference automatically. So I don't have to add the reference symbol. So when I pass an array, what's actually being passed is the address to the array, and that's called a pointer, and we'll learn about that a little bit later. So this variable nums is actually pointing to the original array. And then I passed count by reference so that I can update count in this function after I've deleted the element. And then I have a position or an integer position that will hold the index that I want to delete. So count is pointing up to the count in main, and that contains 4, and position has 1. When I click next, we are going to start at position I. So since I is 1 and position is 1, this element right here, the 4, is the one that I want to get rid of. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start here, and then I'll move the -7 over, and then I'm going to move the 22 over, and then I'm going to decrement the count variable to 3 so that there are only theoretically 3 values in our current array. So when I hit next, you can see that the 7 moved over. So I said take this value in position I plus 1, and I was 1, so take the number in position 2 and put it into position 1, and that's what happened right here. So then I'm going to increment I, so now I is right here, right at 2, and it says put the element in position 3 into position 2. So it'll take the 22 and it'll put it into position 2. So when I hit next, you can see that that is what has happened. And we only are going to loop that far, because if I loop one more time to count -1, it'll move the 0 over, and it's out of bounds, right? Our array is only 4 that we're playing with. So that's why I'm looping while I is less than count -1. So I is 2, count is 4, and so the loop will end. 2 is less than 3. And so when I hop out, I'm going to decrement count. So because count is pointing, this will turn to a 3. And then I'm going to set the value in num sub count to 0. So num sub 3, right, I'm going to set that to 0. And there's my new array. So I have an array that's been updated to contain only 3 elements because I deleted that element in position 1, and then I decremented the count to be 3. So this is now the new array.